So just to be clear on who is actually taking the black pill, it's actually Hutch.
Destiny calls out Hutch for warping his positions. Why don't we start with 4759? Start right here. Wish I had your confidence. I don't know what that's based on. When have they ever demonstrated an inkling of possibility of this like being the case for them?
The filibuster?
Berthamson with $5.
He's not saying do nothing. You literally can't do anything right now other than elections. Wrong. I would argue that the time that is not the campaign season is probably one of the most important times of the entire, like, kind of thing. Because you spend that time doing social media shit. You spend that time trying to stir up noise. You spend that time trying to stir up the sentiments of the American people. You spend that time trying to push for ideas and policies that you actually want to see. Because once campaign season like hits, you need to begin thinking about how to win. But the off time, other than that, yeah, of course. Of course, that's like one of the most important times, in my opinion. Okay.
Feel like you're being disingenuous. I didn't see anybody saying that the president should be the figurehead for the trials. Well, I asked people in chat and they said yes. That's what that's in reference to.
Oh, well, the people in chat said
ASOS with $5. The research doesn't show it would embolden MAGA. Too long, didn't read. It indicates that prosecutions of Donald J. Trump or his officials are unlikely to change the minds of his base. Then you linked two things, throw them into ChatGPT. Yeah, I'll take some time looking into these studies afterwards. Noxus with $5. MAGA has not faced any real accountability, so we have never had a good example.
True.
They've gotten away with January 6th and so many other things scot-free.
True.
Well,
True.
To be clear, there were criminal convictions. I mean, yeah, whatever.
I like how mad Steven is.
I gotta...
Yes, get ready for elections. Hutch is not telling you not to get ready for elections. I think you're missing the point here.
I gotta not pause very much.
Yeah, I can't spend any more time elaborating on points I've already elaborated on like 50 times before. I'm sorry.
During this, I'm gonna make a real concerted effort not pause, because otherwise I'm just gonna repeat myself 1,000 times, because I'm sure I'm just gonna repeat myself from what I said in the video that he's reacting to. ATX Couch Potato, did I get you for the gifted sub? I think so. Thank you, buddy. In the Georgia case, because there were
Criminal convictions, and what happened to them? What happened to the convictions? What happened to the convictions on January 6th? Does anybody...
Yo, Yamato, thank you so much for the tier 1. I appreciate that. Thank you. Wait, was that tier 1? Yep, that's a tier 1. Okay. All right, just
remember? Anybody remember that? Anybody remember what happened to those?
Were people that pled guilty in Georgia? Wait, hold on. Were people pardoned in Georgia? What was her name? What was that young lawyer that issued a sobbing apology in court? What was her name again?
Your mom.
The case against Trump was dropped, but there were people that I think pled guilty, including the Kraken lady. See? And are there still ongoing Jenna Ellis? Yeah, criminal cases for. So there was some accountability for that stuff. But I don't know what are the options of holding Trump accountable for January 6th at this point. I don't know if there's any options there.
How many people in pardon that have committed crimes either directly on his behalf or on behalf of his administration, or just
it's not about options. It's about what you ought to do.
Crimes and then end up supporting him. Like the Republicans already have this thought process, and it needs to be exterminated. The thought process, not the people.
Wait, hold on. This is such, okay. The reason why this is such bullshit is because
I need to commentate faster. I think what I need to do is I need to commentate faster. I can't spend like 50 trillion hours on every single point or try to like beef a chat.
I feel like you just either don't
I can't do it. I just can't do it. I can't waste my time.
Why it's appealing to Americans. But the whole narrative is that since World War II, we have had a runaway federal government that has grown and grown and grown and grown outside of the Constitution. The Republicans have been playing footsie with the Democrats forever. And as a result, we now have a wrecking ball. So regardless of whether or not you think Trump is a good person or a bad person, things like cutting PEPFAR and USAID, that's good on a principled stance because billions of dollars shouldn't be going overseas to help people who aren't American. Slashing the DOE, deconstructing the Department of Education. Well, the federal government, realistically, we're 50, relatively speaking, sovereign states who should be deciding our own local affairs. Well, that's a good thing because the DOE, since it's gutted, it's now giving local control to education. You can say that those stories are bullshit. You can say it's nepotism. You can say it's cronyism. You can say all the corrupt things, and I'm probably going to agree with you 7 out of 10 times. But that doesn't mean that people with Americans, especially with the First Amendment, with freedom of speech and freedom of conscience, that doesn't mean that opinion or behavior should be made illegal. That's fucking insane. That's insane. You yourself are advocating for a position that's contradictory to the Republic of the United States. It makes no fucking sense.
Literally not. We literally have an amendment that literally bars people from committing insurrection. Literally.
Okay, how has Marco Rubio committed insurrection?
Hit him up with an insurrectionist.
Dude, how many layers deep are we in right now? Holy shit. Like, is there any point where we just like pause for a little bit and tell ourselves like, ask ourselves like, what are we doing? Because At this point, because if we're so many layers deep, where it's like Hutch reacting to Steven, reacting to Hutch, reacting to the panel with Destiny on it, then, you know, and I'm reacting to this. I think at this point, you might as well just have a talk, right? Like, if I was ever this deep, even though I hate debate, I despise scheduling debates. I despise doing that, right? I despise, you know, having to debate someone or preparing for one because I do not do well, and I do not do well with the anxiety, to be frank, right? Like, even then, I would consider, like, yeah, you know what? You know what? I think I need to clutch up.
That's not insurrection.
It definitely is. Read the text of the 14th Amendment. Aiding and abetting. It's part of insurrection.
Swanibird with $5 in the vid yesterday. Fuentes claimed he has tons of Groy pets in his DMs. What are the odds most of those Groy pets are bots or male fans? Ooh, I would say decent. I don't doubt for a second he's getting tons of nudes sent to him in the DMs. And
Yeah, quite a preposterous amount. Not preposterous, actually. Like, a lot of people have said that Fuentes is hot, and I'm inclined to believe that. I don't know. Like, I would wager that gay people see him as a brat, and that women just think that he's just handsome and young looking, right?
I would bet decent money. Is it most of them are AI? Maybe above 50% of them are just AI, and he's getting catfished or whatever.
But yeah, there's no difference
But
between
he
committing
has
insurrection and
participating in the insurrection for insurrection.
You don't have to be convicted for the amendment, but we can
By the way,
convict.
Let Destiny, hold on. Let Destiny finish his point, then he can respond.
If he's pardoned, if he's pre-pardoned, then he's guilty. Then you just say, charge him with it, have him be pardoned, nothing happens, then you bar him from running for office again.
Okay, so Hunter, right now.
True. I like this idea. I think it's very clever. My understanding is currently the legal theory is that more or less when you get pardoned, you are accepting that you committed the crime, right? If you accept a pardon, you're, in a way, you're saying, yeah, okay, I did do this and I accept a pardon for it, right? Well, if you accept a pardon for anything related to insurrection, then you should be allowed to be held accountable for insurrection as per the 14th Amendment, which says you can no longer run for office or hold office because you were an oath taker and you broke your oath. I think that's cute.
Because you're being consistent, you're just going to go ahead and accept the fact that Hunter is guilty of FARA violations, tax violations, money laundering, and corruption on behalf of the Biden family, right?
Wait, is Hutch against pardoning Hunter Biden? Does anybody know?
Sure, Hunter Biden can never run for public office again. I'll be consistent on that.
Okay, that wasn't even the question. But the whole point is that I know that's bullshit because we thought about this in the past. All you're doing is you're making a concession because the concession doesn't matter anymore. So what's actually going on here is you're saying that we should bar probably a sixth of the country from participating in politics once again.
And I keep saying, I said elected official. No, wait,
You know how he cringed at Destiny versus Destiny? This is just Destiny versus Destiny anyway.
he's saying a six.
He's pro-pardon?
I'm
Okay.
saying elected officials right now.
Say never participated within like the cult of Trump or MAGA politics.
True. Yeah.
It's a little broad. But I do think he's memeing a bit here. Teague Starbuck with $5. If your only options were prosecution of MAGA's leaders with the president leading the charge or nothing, which would you choose? That's a good question.
Just by the way, I'm pretty sure I have like covered every single layer of this at this point. I've covered the original panel, I've covered Hutch covering it, I've covered Destiny covering Hutch, and now I'm covering Hutch covering Destiny covering Hutch. Oh my dude, just
Probably nothing.
stop.
Probably nothing, because I think that would
Just
stop
debate already,
the president
please.
from doing.
Just
the
have
president wouldn't
sex
get-
or something,
I
I
think it
don't
would
know.
be much more difficult for the president to get anything done. To put the question in a different way, let me ask you guys, what do you think is more important for let's say a Democrat wins in 2028, they're inaugurated January 20th, 2029. What do you think is more important?
Why does it have this
get
weird
done?
one?
Their policy agenda or Nuremberg 2.0? Let's say the president has big enough majorities to get a public option done.
Doing both.
Would you rather have a public option or would you rather have Nuremberg 2.0? No. It's a hypothetical. They can and should do both. Okay. Can I get you to concede that the president leading the charge
Why
on
does
Nuremberg 2.0
no one is who is
could
making
potentially
this argument?
massively stifle
Who is making
any
this?
Why? Maybe he wasn't paying attention to the chat. There were a lot of people in my chat. There were a lot of people in my YouTube chat that were insistent that it should be spearheaded by the Democratic president. It wasn't just like one or two or three people. It was like 15.
Who is making this?
Why? Maybe he wasn't paying attention to the chat. There were a lot of people in my chat. There were a lot of people in my YouTube chat
Oops.
that were insistent that it should
Wait, does
be
it even show on
spearheaded
OBS?
by
Oh.
the Democratic president.
Sorry, my I was watching Babylon 5 because it got suggested to me by stumbling. So that's what I accidentally opened. My bad.
It wasn't just like 1 or 2 or 3 people. It was like
Oops.
15, 20, 30 people that were like, yeah. You know, President Josh Shapiro should day one announce that he's going to push DOJ to hold these people accountable and do like Nuremberg 2.0. Like, I wasn't shadowboxing. There were people in the chat that were aggressively pushing that. Just
What
like
is it leading to?
But I
Where
get
did
you to
this come
acknowledge that
from?
that is possible.
It's like the dumbest, weirdest like addendum to what I'm saying ever. What is this thing? It's like fixing this idea. Like, do you think that the president of the United States should really come out?
I said today watching Beto O'Rourke made him question if he says that for every single guy that he likes. Like he said that for IRI.
And speak in the Jabba the Hutt voice every time he talks about Donald Trump, guys? You really think that that's how we should hold them accountable? Is it should involve the president of the United States talking like Jabba the Hutt? Really?
I'm having I struggle sometimes with his metaphors and analogies.
Guys, serious, Jabba the Hutt, really? Like, who said this? Who said
Oh, okay, so he's just a boomer, right?
this?
Okay. That's where I'm coming from. So it's not necessarily a binary, but that's just what, like, if we just pause and look on the screen. So I think this is coming from Twitch here. Okay. There's some people on the screen right here that are agreeing with that.
Nobody is fucking reading chat, dude. Like, who cares?
But here's another one here. Holy shit, it literally doesn't matter if he's involved or not. The president is going to be accused of lawfare anyways.
True.
Battered wife syndrome doesn't belong in our political system. But there needs to be accountability. Why would it though? Through what mechanism? The president need not lead the way. He hasn't achieved for that. The current president is destroying the East Wing, getting his political enemies indicted, and we have to care about looking bad for. I mean, this is just.
I'm still mad he did the Velas fight during politics content, like a story heavy like fight, you mean? I don't know anything you're talking about. If you're talking about like a story, I'm pretty sure he has played Final Fantasy Tactics like 50 fucking trillion times at this point because it's his favorite video game of all time. So yeah, of course. Like at some point, like if it's a really like fucking big time story, yeah, okay. If it's a big time story, then yeah, that makes sense. He has done the game like 50 trillion times at this point. This is probably his like 5th playthrough.
One like,
if anything.
You guys can't read what's on the screen here because it's so tiny for you guys. But this is just, I just paused here on one frame and there's 4 or 5 people that are pushing back.
Apparently I messaged Steven about like me playing XCOM because I was just curious. And he said that he played XCOM Legendary Difficulty Long War, XCOM 2 on Iron Man. And yeah, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Against what I'm saying. So clearly,
it's very clear that he's super into tactics games.
there were people in chat that were suggesting that the president needs to be the one to directly address the American people and announce, you know, this thing coming from the president that, you know, I'm directing DOJ to hold.
It was a StarCraft. StarCraft has nothing to do with it. StarCraft is a completely different type of game from tactical.
Hold these people accountable. There were a lot of people in my chat. I don't recall suggesting that Destiny was saying that. Maybe I did and I misunderstood. But at this point, it's more banter with chat and less a critique of what Destiny was saying.
They're both RTS. I mean, technically both Skyrim and Arc Raiders have third-person perspective, so therefore, I guess they're both RPGs. You sound stupid.
The Birdman Condor with 70 months. Thank you so much, buddy. New Plattner poll, unsure of quality. Ooh. New Senate primary poll, Maine. Mills, 47%. Plattner, 37%. From Pan Atlantic, who is a C-rated
really
pollster.
Good piece. Yep,
the polling of Maine has been so unbelievably all over the place. Like the range of these polls coming out of Maine, the Maine primary is like 40 points. It's so insane. But consistently, I've seen Plattner ahead. What my thinking is. Maybe it's possible. I will concede in the infinite
Base
multiverse.
Nazi.
Oh my
Maybe it's
God.
possible
Oh my
for a
God.
hypothetical Democratic president to lead Nuremberg 2.0 and get a public option. I am inclined to think that the former would very much complicate the latter. And for me, it's more important to get a public option than Nuremberg 2.0, in my humble opinion. I think that would be much better for the American people than Nuremberg 2.0.
No, they're two different questions. You can have you can have policies, you can have policy position, but you can also be pro fixing democracy. Why does it have to be one or the other?
How do you feel about it when the president doesn't spearhead it but appoints a special counsel? That was my position the whole time. If there is some kind of massive effort to
Okay, then
criminally
we
prosecute
agree.
the Trump administration,
On
which
everything?
again, I'm not sure how feasible this is. Maybe.
Why not just have a fucking chat then?
Maybe we agree on everything. If that's his position, that it shouldn't come from the president, we have the special counsel for that reason, that's his position, then yeah, we agree. And I think I had a moment like that. Oh my God, I'm wearing the same shirt again, you guys. This is a ridiculous reactception.
Yeah. It sure is.
Because I'm wearing literally the exact same shirt. It's fine. I have like a rotation of like 8 or 9 shirts. It's a constant
Okay.
rotation of like 8 or 9 shirts. And sometimes
Bro, this is like guy fashion in a shell nut, isn't it? This is literally guy fashion. Yeah, I have like 5 shirts that I rotate on a weekly basis.
I don't space them out enough. You are the Daniel Radcliffe of streaming? Does he wear the same stuff? I don't understand that reference. Pretty sure Donald Trump is going to pardon himself and his entire cabinet on his way out the door. So I don't even know what we're talking about.
Oh, so we
I don't
can't
know
do
how
anything.
That complicates things.
Oh,
Then you don't think MAGA is that? Strawman? Hello? I thought he was better than this. I thought he was better than silly strawman fallacy.
What?
I don't even know what we're talking about.
Oh, so we
I don't
can't
know
do
how
anything.
That complicates things.
oh.
Then you don't think MAGA is that? Strawman? Hello? I thought he was better than this. I thought he was better than silly strawman fallacy. Actually, that's a strawman fallacy. It's one of the logical fallacies. I didn't say don't do anything that bad. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you and I have totally different opinions about what is the best way to quote unquote like defeat MAGA. Right now, my position is
Oh god. Hutch has become so annoying.
that they seem to be doing a really good job defeating themselves right now.
Oh my god, defeating themselves? They've been defeated because the Democrats are finally outmaneuvering them. They've been defeated because Newsom stood up and did something that was originally not that popular and won on it, the Prop 50 thing, an aggressive counteract to the Texas shit. I'm sure Hutch supported that at the beginning. They're being defeated by Schumer.
Why is he nitpicking me on this? Donald Trump is massively unpopular. He's doing massively unpopular things, and he fucked with the economy. The Republican Party are damaging themselves right now. That is just so plainly true.
Outmaneuvering them in the Senate by the insistence on the Epstein shit.
All that is true. I understand that. All that is true. But the Republicans are doing a lot of damage to themselves right now.
By the historically long shutdown from the federal government and staying on point with the messaging. Like, it's not like they're randomly.
Wait, so yeah, but that's the point, right? Like, are you just gonna like stand back and stand by? Is that ultimately what, you just let them fuck themselves over? Or do you actually want to push the public narrative forward? Or do you actually want to seize control of the narrative again? Because just in case you haven't noticed, Trump has been fucking himself over for the past 12 years. Since 2016. Sorry, that's what, 9 years? Damn, it's been so fucking long. He's been fucking himself over for almost 10 years. And what has that changed? It got us another fucking term.
Losing on their own. I mean, they are making mistakes, unforced errors for sure, but that's also because of some pushback.
A lot. They're making a lot of
Yeah, okay, fine. A lot. Okay, what's your point? What's your fucking point? Fine, it's a lot. What's your point?
unforced errors. The tax credits expiring is unforced error. I mean, that is crazy that they're doing that.
Intentionally, deliberately, by the Democrats.
there is a price to pay for Trump. There has been a price to pay for Trump. And I know for some people, they're not going to be able to compute that because he won re-election in 2024. And for some people, that's kind of the end of the analysis. And that you just assume just like total victory moving forward. But that's just not the way that politics work. Number one, 2024 should have on paper been a blowout for the Democratic Party, just an absolute blowout. It should have been a bloodbath. I meant for the Republican Party. That was a little confusing. And it was not. I think that's because of Donald Trump. And Donald Trump has proven himself to be quite the albatross for the Republican Party. Like he is dragging that part. He is holding them back. The Republican Party would be stronger if they had competent leadership. The Democratic Party would be struggling a lot more.
We would be
Lord Moss. Welcome.
That's good. If the Democratic Party was struggling.
Okay, hold on. Fuck it. I'm gonna call Hutch right now. Okay. All right. Good luck. Or not. Okay, never mind. I guess. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Because there was an opposition Republican Party that was engaged in good governance and was governing the country better than the Democrats could, then fine, let them win the election. I don't care. If Republicans win the election because they're legitimately doing things that are delivering better results for the economy.
I think he's slightly missing my point here. I meant competent politically. Like the Republican Party are never going to have policies that I think would, I very broadly oppose Republican policies because I think they're harmful.
I mean, he's probably going to bed. Yeah, I don't care about his sleep schedule. Call me, debate me.
They do harm. That's not what I meant by competent. Like I meant that if they were competent,
debate me while in bed. Okay, if you have to.
Politically, then Democrats would be having a pretty rough time of it, I think.
Better results for the world, then the Democrats are fine. Then that's fine. Then okay. That's an okay world to be in, though. That's way different than right now where they won because they're fucking lunatics.
If the Republicans actually had a competent leader, Donald Trump has been a drag on the party. You say that, but
Drag while the iron is hot. I only choose to debate exactly when the time is right. People don't get to determine when we get to debate because I hate the anticipation of debates. Okay. I choose when to debate because it makes me feel better about it.
But we still have 3 more years. That's the consequence of 2024. I accept that Donald Trump is going to be here for the next 3 years. I just don't accept that. I do read YouTube
Even
chat.
if nobody goes to prison, I think it's still important to get an official and public accounting of the full breadth of the corruption that took place in that administration. Without truth and reconciliation, Trump 3.0 will be even more likely to come about, and under a different name.
Oh my god. Okay, who is that motherfucker? Give them a medal.
Can I just push back on this a little bit, guys? A rhetorical question. I'm already pushing back on it. Carlos, thank you so much for being a YouTube member for 2 months, buddy. YouTube chat supremacy. Also, why are you bald? I'm so sick of this, man. Constant abuse from chat. Fucking sick of this shit. I'm getting it from both sides. YouTube, you're supposed to be the ones that are supportive. Fucking 6 months ago, YouTube chat was a paradise. I'd look down on my YouTube chat and people are like, man, I really love your takes. You're so level-headed. Wow, you look really nice today. They would say stuff like that, literally.
Well, yeah, do you know why it changed? Because you stood by and waited for chat to slip up and make a mistake and make itself look bad. You weren't the one that was pushing for policies to make your chat better. So therefore, what happened was that your chat degenerated. Now they hate you and call you bald, okay? Hope you're happy. This is the world that you crafted. You're living in it.
Really like, wow, you look so good today.
Okay, all right.
What's that shirt you're wearing? That's a good look for you. And then something changed. I don't know what happened. Something changed. We did have a detailed, comprehensive.
Oh, just on that was only on January 6th. That was only on J6. And it was way too long. And there were no criminal charges whatsoever that came from that. And the Republicans denied it the entire time. That was a different thing. The J6 commission is not... We need something more, okay?
What Trump did on January 6th. The government did that. We had select subcommittee that investigated that. The fuck is that noise? Event for like several months. There were televised hearings that stretched out for a couple of months. And do you know what, guys?
Wait, am I crazy? For a couple of months? I thought this was like 5 days. Wait, how long was all of the J6 committee? I thought it was like...
My recollection could be off. But I think that
Your collection is always off. You're
They
old.
stretched it out a couple of months. Like they didn't have back to back hearings. It was like they had one hearing day, and then 2 weeks later they had another hearing day. Am I remembering that wrong? Show me the full schedule of hearings from the January 6th select subcommittee starting in 20 that started in 2021 that was formed in 2021. I don't think the hearings, when did those hearings? I feel like the hearings for that was at the end of 2021, but I might be misremembering everything here. Actual Facts Racing with the tier 1 membership on YouTube for 3 months.
Oh my
Fellow
god.
Bald by choice here. Stay up, King. Dude, my hair was fucking manageable. That's what you guys are lying about. My hair, the situation was totally manageable. I had like a whole comb over thing that was working, and like if you got it at just the right length, then it was like, let me go back and just, I have a YouTube channel that, you know, documented this process. When was the last time I had hair in a YouTube video? How long have I been bald? I'm back in July at this point. What's going on here? There, right there, right there. This was a manageable bald situation.
You're having to Google what you're talking about, which is how I know you don't.
You can't even really see it a little bit, but like, this was manageable. This was manageable. I wasn't catastrophically bald. The only reason I pulled the trigger and just went full bald was because I trusted my barber. That's what I get, man. That's what I get. You know, it's a $30 haircut. You get what you pay for, I suppose. I trusted him too much. I went to the doctor. I went to the barber and I said, look, and I showed him a picture. I can't remember who I showed him a picture of. I might have set him up to fail because I think I showed up showing him a picture of like, oh, I really like this style. And it might have been like Austin Butler or something, like, you know what I mean? Like a movie star or something. Like, make me look like Henry Cavill. Exactly. It was literally something like that. I don't remember who the celebrity was. But it was a little bit tighter. Like, it was a little bit tighter. Like, a little bit more trimmed on the side, a little bit, like, tighter. I was like, but only do this if I can pull it off, because I realized there are limitations. You know, I'm doing a strategic comb over up there to hide certain stuff, but you know, we're still rocking. We can still keep this going for a number of years. And he was like, yeah, don't worry. I got you. And then he hands me the mirror at the end of the process. And I'm like, ooh, you did not get me. It was so bad. It was so fucking bad, bro.
Bro, you wear the same shirt every day. How much worse you'll look if you have fucked up hair? You wear the same fucking shirt. You don't even put any appearance. Like, see, this is what is confusing about guys. Like, they'll freak out so much over the hair, but then they never put any effort anywhere else on their body. What the fuck?
30 to 45 minutes in the mirror at home, desperately trying to find a way to make it work, but he didn't leave me enough hair to comb over the male pattern baldness. There was just not enough. And so I pulled out the trimmers, and I'm not even kidding. I looked at the trimmers for like 10 minutes. I'm like, all right, I got to do it. It was like kind of like the hesitation that Christy Nome must have felt right before she murdered her puppy. I'm sure there was a moment where she was like,
wait, what?
Maybe I shouldn't do this. And I was just holding those clippers for like 10 minutes. I was like, I have to do this. There's no other choice. And now I don't want to fucking spend the time to let it grow out again, because there's just going to be an awkward phase where it doesn't look great, you know? I guess I could rock a fedora in the meantime if I really wanted to wear, like, let my hair grow out, but...
Okay, all right. God. Ooh, woman yap too much. Have you seen Hutch?
That kind of a situation. There were 9 total hearings. No, 10. There were 10 total televised hearings. And they spread them out from June until December of 2022. So I was right about that. They did spread them out for like 6 months. Didn't really move the needle significantly. So where is your confidence coming from that a Democratic president-led investigation would yield the kind of results that you guys seem to think it would? I don't understand where that confidence comes from. Of course, the president has a bigger platform, sure. But I think the reality of the situation is there's a significant percentage of the country that are relatively disengaged from politics.
Engage them.
I think we looked up some statistics a month or two ago. We tried to sort of gauge. And I think where we landed on was it's like 70 to 80% of the country that are pretty disconnected from politics. If you could devise a society where everybody was super engaged, then I don't think Donald Trump, his...
Motherfucker. That's the problem, is that there's full of people like Hutch who will say, well, how about you devise a society where X is better or Y is better? You're never the person who is actually pushing for X or Y. Like, what's with all these people? Like, yeah, do you think that gay rights was always popular? Did you think that gay rights have like, just would naturally become popular if people never pushed for it? What about any kind of discrimination ever, white man?
Political movement would have succeeded in the first place, but we don't live in that world. We don't live in that country. Hasn't that always been the case for America? I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe.
So instead of waiting for it to grow back, Hutch panicked and made it worse. I feel like there's a metaphor there.
But I don't know. I feel like
maybe that's why he panicked over his hair and he just cut it all off now. Maybe that's why he treats politics in the same way. He was so traumatized by the hair to the point where he just began to do politics in the same exact way. He's like, well, you know, the last time I acted, I lost all my hair. So now, this time, it's going to be different. Okay?
previous generations, I just could be wrong. I'm just making kind of a guess here.
What an interesting and in-depth character analysis.
Like, you know, during the Cold War, for example, like the Cuban Missile Crisis, you know, I assume that the context of the Cold War or some
worried,
like
yeah,
World War
because
II,
they're nuclear.
I would assume that a way higher percentage of the country were paying attention to politics in that kind of way. But the problem is that there's a lot of people that see politics.
See, my question is, why did Hutch take the hair black pill? Why did Hutch take the hair black pill? Okay. Talking about me taking the black pill, or us taking the black pill, or anybody else taking the black pill. What about the hair black pill? Okay.
On their social media feeds, but they're not really meaningfully engaging with politics, you know? They're not really like going out of their way to watch long form content, I thought that was implied with what I said. Like the Cold War kind of directly impacted people. The threat of the Cold War it directly impacted people in ways that we haven't really experienced. I mean, obviously minus 9/11. Since the fall of the...
If the gays just remained silent, everything would have worked out. Yeah, that's what Hutch thinks, right? We just can't bring up black rights ever. He probably would have talked... He would have tried to convince Malcolm Luther King to just straight up never have done his thing. You're right. MLK Jr. should have never done his thing. You're right. You know, black segregation is just way too strong. Okay, we can't do anything to prevent it. You know, the Jim Crow laws should exist. Otherwise, you'll piss off the moderates during that time.
Berlin Wall and the collapse of the Soviet Empire.
Amazing.
But
infallible attitude.
Politics had a much more kind of direct threat, and therefore people were probably more engaged back then.
Okay, so people were just naturally more engaged back then. That's why. Oh, okay. So engage them, motherfucker. What the fuck? You're so lazy.
Or more meaningfully engaged, but now people are exposed to politics constantly because of social media, and politics has now like bled into other things like the arts and culture, and So I think people are consuming more political news, but they're
Malcolm Luther King Jr. I'm sorry. Why did I say that? I'm so sorry. Malcolm. I knew there was something wrong, okay? Yeah, that's what I said. I said Martin, okay?
less politically engaged than in previous generations. But that's just a purely vibes brace.
Yeah, what am I supposed to say? Like, listen, all black people are the same, okay? Jesus. Like, what do you want me to say? Wesley Snipes? Wesley Snipes Jr.? Damn.
Vibes-based judgment. I'm not basing that off of anything. I don't have any evidence to support that. It's just a theory, but Kingdom Gene with $5 with love and support. You're looking nice today, Hutch, even though you seem to only have like 2 or 3 shirts to choose from. No. I have a lot of shirts. It's just sometimes I don't space them out enough. That's it. Birdman Condor, I'm sorry, did I miss you? Thank you for 70 months. Discussions about domestic policy and foreign policy.
These people act like you should not stand for your morals because someone like it. Yeah, if only insert president that was alive during MLK Jr.'s time.
Policy and the political dynamic.
Don't you know that we have to win?
I would assume that a lot less people are doing that than they did in generations previous.
Just never fight for
the January
anything
6th
ever.
committee still revealed egregious shit we never would have known about. Do it anyways.
Guys, dude, can you just imagine? Yeah, we shouldn't do D-Day. Yeah, we shouldn't invade Germany. Invade Germany back during World War II. Why? Why? Because, you know, that wouldn't go well with people who are anti-war effort and raising taxes over it and shit like that. You're right. We should just sit around and do nothing and let the Jews die. Holy shit.
Nobody goes to prison.
Genius.
I don't know why there's so much reluctance. Well,
wait, is this the battle with the guy with the armor and shit?
What is to stop the Congress from doing
The
that
marquee?
again? The Congress can do that. You guys understand that, right? Like, I assume the next Democratic-led Congress will, in fact, do that. If the Democrats take back the House...
D-Day was in France. Bro, dude, same country. Okay, it doesn't matter. Like, all the European countries are made up, okay?
I guarantee you, they are going to establish subcommittees to investigate the current administration. They are going to haul cabinet members up in front of live cameras in subcommittee hearings, and they're going to grill the shit out of them.
Yes, but also
So I think you guys are going to get a taste of what you're looking for, just a little taste, in about a year, a little over a year, when the next Congress is sworn in and Democrats are probably in the majority. And to be clear, you do not want them to do that, Hutch.
He mad. Ooh, you guys are triggering him.
Can you guys take a fucking breath? When did I ever suggest or hint that I don't think that the Democrats in Congress should hold hearings and grill? Take a fucking breath, man. You are arguing with somebody else. Bro, it was a question. It was a leading question. It was an assumption. Like, what have I said that indicated that I would be opposed to Democrats grilling the administration? Pushing me over the feckin' line. That's what chat does every fucking day. You guys push me over the feckin' line. Noxus with $10. We had accounting for January 6th with no accountability. Sure, it is great that some things were found and proven. Guys, why are people knocking the new season of Stranger Things? Like, I understand it's a bit ridiculous having these like full-fledged adults now playing, 7th graders. That's a little distracting. But I thought it was fun.
That's wild.
I thought it was really fun. I really enjoyed that last episode.
Okay, this has to be a red flag, right? Can somebody who actually watches Stranger Things this good, like these days, this good? Fuck me, dude. Can somebody who... Oh my god. Why am I just misspeaking the entire time today? I'm just not going to speak again, actually.
Episode 4. That was good. No spoilers, no spoilers, no spoilers. No spoilers, nobody spoil. Even though I had that shit spoiled for me on social media, people are wilding out, bro. Netflix, what are you doing from the official Twitter account?
Coming to season
Netflix
5? Oh.
tweeting out full-on spoilers like 2 days after
What? Why?
the season
Why would you do
went
that?
live.
Oh, yeah, that's horrible. What the fuck?
What was that all
What?
about? They just full-on spoiled like a massive thing in the last episode.
That's kind of crazy, actually. Unironically.
That's horrible policy. Whatever. Anyways, I enjoyed it. I thought this season was I really enjoyed last season. Season 4 was fucking so good. And so far, so good.
Dude, I stopped watching Stranger Things because at some point I was like, all of this just seems like they're trying to pad this out for money and views, and I think I was right.
Good
Okay.
for season 5. I thought that was good. I thought that was good. but to what end? Committing treason without consequences is a horrible
I
precedent.
was
that
like,
is set.
yeah,
I agree.
Seems like they're just farming
But we
this.
have
I
to.
agree.
So that something.
And I think
for
it's
reasons.
Garland's fault. 100% agree.
It's too late.
Tyler, we go low, you go high video. Pass. I want to pass on that. Bad company with $5 under a Dem president, the DOJ would be working independently. The hypothetical is disingenuous.
No, I messed up.
Wait, what hypothetical? Hold on. What was this about?
Abort.
Well, that's what I'm pushing for. And if we assume that hypothetical, then I'm already on board with that. DOJ should operate independently. I have no problem with that. DOJ, go nuts. Do your thing. Sergeant
Okay.
Fatboy.
Are we able to beat level 10? Okay, here
With
we go.
115 months, my goodness. Naughty Pop, you said that there was breaking news. What's going on?
This feels just a little bit sorry, and I think this is a little bit different from the place that we started at, because you were
Somebody, a Destiny viewer, must have spent so.
The same people that watch Stranger Things fucked with Riverdale. No, you don't understand, okay? The people who watch Riverdale all the way to the end are the kinds of people who watch bad movies because they're funny, okay? Because at some point, everybody just kind of gives up on understanding the show, and instead they just choose to embrace the chaos, okay? But people who watch Stranger Things thinks that they're still watching a masterpiece. That's the difference, okay? People who watch Riverdale all the way to the end are there because they're Joker, okay? People who watch Stranger Things are on copium.
So much time doing this?
That's what it is.
I think what I surmise happened here is because I'm such a yapper. I'm famous for my yaps. Somebody
Which is so true. I never watched Riverdale. And even I know that's true. And I haven't watched the last 2 seasons of Stranger Things. Fuck that.
ostensibly a DGG viewer downloaded the VOD and then edited out all of my yaps and then uploaded it so that Destiny could respond or react to it without my yap.
Oh my god. Okay, wait. Can somebody link me that channel? Holy shit. I can't do it. No. Nah, whoever that person is a national hero, okay? Whoever that person is a hero, alright? Yes, you yap too much, okay? I am tired. I'm sick and tired of you talking about your lack of hair, okay? I get the bit. Okay, you're bald. What game are you playing? I'm playing Chaos Zero Nightmare Gunner game, okay? Don't play it. I only play this game because I love the gameplay loop, okay? I think that incorporating Gunner, Slay the Spire, gacha game is beautiful, okay? That being said, the character designs are too ridiculous, okay? It's crazy. Big booba everywhere.
Blue Crayons, thank you so much for 10 months, buddy. Appreciate you.
You're saying Nuremberg trials, but these don't sound like trials. Like, these do sound like if you're part of the admin, you're guilty. But I don't know if that's a trial.
Well, if they're pre-pardoning, then we can't have a trial now. They don't pre-pardon.
Sure.
So time off interaction. Fuck it.
Sure. Okay. So what? Let's go.
Okay,
You know,
actually,
good note.
report them.
Oh my
What's your
God.
evidence that they're engaged in insurrection?
I don't know. We'd have to figure out what the historical definition of insurrection is, and then I guess we would dig up all the evidence. We do our discovery like a normal trial, and you find everything, and you go through all the emails, you go through all the phone calls, to see if they were knowingly
fall flat on its fucking face.
would it be politically popular. I'm not denying that, of course. Would it be politically unpopular. Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
so so what you're saying is you're making a moral statement that
Hutch has a quality that is strangely beneficial for maintaining long-term relationships. Getting sidetracked a bit and nerding out about minor random stuff about himself and his experiences. I do that. It creates more parasociality. I've been experimenting with my viewers to see what would retain parasociality the most. Talking about yourself from time to time would often manipulate the viewers enough, I would say. Yeah. Should I be telling this to you guys? Okay, anyway.
okay, 1/6 of political representatives, or actually it would be a quarter because these are elected people. 1/4 of elected representatives should be prohibited from participating in politics.
Okay. What if we do these trials? What if there's no pre-pardoning?
All right, Naughty Pup, have a good happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your time with your family.
Marco Rubio gets put on trial and he's found innocent. Like, I don't know if I understand even your hypothetical.
He beats his trial, but at least all the evidence will be out there. Okay.
Okay, sure. So then I don't know. Sure, yeah, I agree with that.
Here's the question.
Why, hold on. I'm sorry. Why
would you support the next Trump doing the same?
Doing the next?
No, sorry, not you. I'm not asking you. Elected politician.
I messed up again. Oh my god, I messed up again. Oh my god. Bro, why am I... Stop. When your hand is out of cards, they all switch to delete your entire life. Okay. I'm gonna remember that next time, okay? Okay.
Comes about, there's the Trump 3 or whatever. The next Trump comes about. Why wouldn't you support him doing the exact same things that this Trump is doing, but even worse?
Not you. It's
you in a general sense. You being
I mean, I've been experimenting with audience retention and shit like that the entire time. Like, it's not that... Okay, yeah. But, like, I've been like, okay, how do I make sure, like, enough people stay long enough to be in my community? And I'm like, oh, okay, it must be this way.
MAGA or anyone else.
Oh, okay. So if I were MAGA, what is the disincentive from
There's a section of this video that's just called Hutch Babble. Apparently he didn't edit everything.
supporting Trump
Right.
3 if Trump 3 was legally possible?
Aren't we incentivizing people to take advantage of the law here?
Ooh, I probably wrapped my head around the fact that I think that Trump's going down because he's an ephebophilic sex cultist. I would have to say that we would need to reinforce, like, actually, I think the political capital after Trump.
Just to be clear as well, guys. Just to be clear as well, guys. Let's not make any mistake right now. The Trump admin
yeah, you said that twice now.
is losing popularity not because of how evil they are, but because of how ineffective they've been. That's why I'm saying.
I wonder how much of the unpopularity has been driven by Trump's like ICE policies. That is definitely inhumane and unpopular. Even though the voters are a little bit schizophrenic on this, the voters seem to be indicating that they favor a more strict policy when it comes to border and immigration enforcement, but the actual ICE operations and the actions that have been filmed of ICE in the course of their operations, that has been pretty unpopular with voters.
What?
But then also like 49% or 48%, a poll that I just saw on my feed this morning, support the strikes on the boats. So it's a bit all over the place.
We got lucky that this guy's a fucking retard. People aren't turning on the Trump admin because of the cruelty and the maliciousness and the vitriol. They might say it now, maybe.
I think that's a bit. I don't think he's correct. Like like Trump has dropped 35 to 40 points with Hispanic voters. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? I mean, he's certainly lost popularity with that particular group because of this inhumane policy. Not because he's a dipshit and incompetent, but because they don't like that policy because they think it's inhumane.
Because that's a convenient thing to point to as an excuse.
What, just the Hispanic population? Is that the only population that matters? Like, don't you think that maybe there are other populations out there?
But it's because their administration just sucked. They haven't delivered for the American people in any way, size, shape, or form.
Yeah, no shit, the Hispanic population isn't going to be happy about it.
Who's to say that somebody delivering policy more effectively could maintain the same level of evilness and the American people wouldn't give a fuck?
Should be spent on reinforcing the guardrails around authorization of uses around military force. It should be put to reinforce.
Also remember, it's not about everybody. It's about people who have voted for Trump, right? It's about people who vote for Trump in 2024 that you have to worry about. Are they getting dissatisfied by the performance? I don't know.
The guardrails around executive orders. It should be put to trying to get Congress to be more of, like that Congresswoman said who just got...
Like, yeah, of course, if you ask a Democrat, like, their opinion on any of this shit, right? Yeah, of course they're going to be horrified and say that is inhumane. Of course. But what are people like Nick Fuentes saying, right? Well, they're saying he wasn't effective enough. He needs to start going full Gestapo.
Who just got installed, that it needs to be a co-equal branch of government. So I would actually...
So just checking. So you're checking against the people who would support Trump, the next Trump. The people who are openly okay with breaking the law would be to make more laws?
Just as a random aside for you Arc Raiders players, if any of you guys are having crashes on PC like I was, I did a couple things and it seems to have fixed the problem. The first thing I did was I updated my BIOS. Is this like a fuck your body?
I would love to hear those. I would love to hear those. I would love to hear those. I would love to.
Come on, like, okay. When we say guardrails, when I say guardrails against Donald Trump, what I mean is guardrails against him doing like a complete authoritarian takeover. That's what I mean when I say guardrails. I mean systems and checks and laws and constitutional amendments that limit the scope of his power. That's what I'm talking about. Someone who, like a liberal, who prefers like liberal democracy with checks on authority. I'm just talking about the things that are baked into the Constitution. There are obvious limits to what Trump can do. Now, admittedly, Donald Trump is pushing that like a fucking 8-year-old testing boundaries with his parents.
Which is a really sorry.
Perverted way to, or obscene way to describe that, but he's obviously stress testing a lot of these guardrails. But at the end of the day, he still has to go through Congress to get, a budget passed. He still has to go through Congress to get bills done. He can't just like unilaterally impeach judges that he doesn't like. We've had the courts check him on a number of issues and rein in his authority. We've also had the court.
Yeah, right. Yet. The key word here is yet, right? We don't have to worry about that yet, right? What about the future?
Courts ruled that in a way that expanded his authority. A little bit of a mixed bag there, but the system itself is still like holding for now, right? The blue.
Yeah, but it's been weakening. It's been trending towards collapse this entire time.
Blue slips, yeah. Trump is really ass-pained by the blue slips. Yeah, we have a policy in the Senate where basically the senator of any state can, correct me if I'm wrong, this is my understanding of blue states, but the senator from any state can just unilaterally block a judge's appointment in that state, right? I'm talking about these fundamental checks that are still holding. And
Hutch doesn't get it. Guardrails mean nothing without people willing to uphold them, correct?
Those are pretty important. They matter a lot. That's what I'm talking about here.
To hear those.
Numerous. We did this after Nixon. We did this after Nixon was after he resigned and was pardoned. I think the legislative branch passed laws regarding sort of like strengthening guardrails. I know the DOJ implemented or established new norms to reinforce or establish the DOJ as or the independent nature of DOJ. That was a very.
But if you look at the behavior of Nixon, right? They were trying to cover that shit up. They were like, he knew that he fucked up. That's why the whole Black Friday thing was a big fucking deal. Because he started firing people because he thought his ass was grass. He thought it was fucked. That's why I said before, there's a difference. There's a level of fear that people.
Who was trying to cover it up? Wait, what? The Jerome Powell's about to start speaking in a second here. I'll switch over to that feed when it starts.
Just aren't feeling. They don't understand. When you go to a dinner and your friend and his girlfriend shows up, and you can tell the girlfriend's been like beat. She's got like makeup on covering her, her eye, and it's like, oh, shit's kind of weird here. That's a lot different than you go to dinner with a friend and his girlfriend, and you start beating the shit out of her right at the table and doesn't give a fuck, right? Nixon, you tried to use the makeup, okay? These are people that can be reckoned with.
All right, here comes Jerome Powell.
Good afternoon. My colleagues and I remain squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals.
Okay.
Actual facts racing. Did I get you for the tier 1 membership? Thank you, buddy.
Because they have a sense of shame. They know what they're doing is wrong. Because they're trying to hide it. Trump does this shit out in the fucking open. They don't give a fuck. It's a different thing.
The suspect worked very closely with the CIA in Afghanistan for years, that he was vetted, and the vetting came up.
A moment ago, he questioned. I'm not sure what exactly he questioned about Nixon. Hold on.
In the fucking like beat. That's cover that.
New norms to legislature. I think the legislative branch passed laws regarding sort of like strengthening guardrails. I know the DOJ implemented or established and implemented new norms to reinforce or establish the DOJ as or the independent nature of DOJ. That was a very.
But if you look at the behavior of Nixon, right? They were trying to cover that shit up.
I actually don't know what he's talking about here. Does anyone know what he's talking about? The Republicans were trying to cover up what Nixon did. I actually have no idea what he's talking about. I don't think that is true. In terms of what the Congress actually did and the laws that were passed after Nixon, in the wake of everything that happened with Nixon, and this spanned several years, like over the course of 5 years, the Congress passed like 8 laws that were sort of directly addressing the kind of corruption that we saw out of the Nixon administration. Nixon was trying to cover up his actions. Is that what he meant? I don't understand what he meant. They were trying to establish the DOJ as or the independent nature of DOJ. That was a very.
But if you look at the behavior of Nixon, right? They were trying to cover that shit up.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Nixon was trying to do it in a kind of clandestine way. I understand. But the Congress passed the Ethics in Government Act of 1978, the War Powers Resolution 1973, the Privacy Act of 1974. That was in response to Nixon inappropriately surveilling Americans. There was the Congressional Budget and Impoundment Control Act of 1974. There were Federal Elections Campaign Act, Government and Sunshine Act. I mean, they passed a shitload of bills. Because that kind of corruption that came out during Nixon was like kind of unprecedented coming out in that way, and it shook Americans' faith. And so there was like a huge like appetite for anti-corruption kind of legislation. And the Congress moved to meaningfully address these concerns.
Worked very closely with the CIA in Afghanistan for years, that he was vetted.
Well, I mean, but that would be that would be what we want, right? Like we would want some degree of fixing of the guardrails or reestablishing of truth, right? That's what we want, but that's not what we're getting, right?
martini, shaken, not stirred.
The regarded horse goes okay, I'm done. Fool, I merely used 10% of my power. And lastly, meow.
Thank you for the 20 Australian. I appreciate that. Thank you. What the okay, thanks.
And the vetting came up clean.
Pudding, take it easy, buddy.
He went cuckoo. I mean, he went nuts. And that happens too. It happens too often with these people. You see them? But look, this is how they come in. This is how they're standing on top of each other. And it's an airplane.
What the?
Thank you.
Why is my president holding up pictures? Why is he holding up pictures that he printed out? Oh.
This is how they come in. This is how they're...
This has been widely reported across both of Trump's presidencies, but a really good example of this Trump needing pictures thing was during the first term. Eventually, Donald Trump just decided to stop getting his daily briefings in the morning. But in the beginning, they found it difficult to keep his attention for the daily briefings. And they figured out that they had to make like...
No, these are epic.
An animated...
They're the best.
They had to like draw him pictures. Which, no disrespect to people with learning disabilities that operate in that kind of way. But I highly doubt that Trump is even aware that he probably has a learning disability.
They're standing on top of each other.
Finish work? Oh,
it's an airplane. There was no vetting or anything. They came in unvetted. And we have a lot of others in this country. We're going to get them out. But they go cuckoo. Something happens soon.
Your DOJ IG just reported that...
Queen alert. Is that a queen? Queen status. Hello. Royalty in the... Wherever the fuck this is. Mar-a-Lago?
She's getting kicked out of the press pool, let's be honest.
Go cuckoo. Something happens soon.
Your DOJ IG just reported this year that there was thorough vetting by DHS and by the FBI of these Afghans who were brought into...
Short stack things.
By Hutch because it automatically gives into the delusion that the administration is acting within the bounds of the law, right? Like think about what he just said earlier. Hutch said, well, the judges have pushed back on him in unprecedented ways so much. Okay, so that means they are trying to break the law.
That doesn't sound like me.
So then why the fuck would you write more? What the fuck does it even matter?
Why would you dismiss doing something? I feel like he's nitpicking a little.
Just debate him already.
A little bit here, guys. I feel like he's nitpicking a little bit here, guys. There's no use for anything like that? Are we just going to assume that every Republican president moving forward is going to be another iteration of Donald Trump? Who's just,
why wouldn't they be?
And trample these norms? Like,
yes! Wait, yes! He stumbled onto it. Now he's being sarcastic, but yes, why wouldn't they be? That's the question. Why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't they do exactly that?
There's no use for anything like that? Are we just going to assume that every Republican president moving forward is going to be another iteration of Donald Trump who's just going to trample these norms? Like, do both, Hutch? Hold people accountable and like strengthen the guardrails? I mean, yeah. It's not that I'm saying that there's not a risk of future Republican presidents following in Trump's footsteps. Of course, that is a risk. The Blackpill is the assumption that that is what is going to happen, which, I mean, listen, I can understand why people feel resigned to that being the case. I can understand why people feel fatalistic about that kind of thing. It's difficult because we're in a moment right now that is particularly corrupt and ugly. But if you just look at how much the country has changed back and forth in this direction and that direction, this direction, that, just over the last like 50 years, it's kind of been all over the place. So the assumption that the Republican Party is just going to get Trumpier and Trumpier and Trumpier, I think is a product of just us being in this moment now. But nobody can predict how these things are going to go. And if the Republican...
Oh my God. Yes, but that's the problem, is that nobody can predict. But what you can try is that you can try to change fate. God, has Hutch ever played any kind of Final Fantasy games before? Don't you know that you can kill God and change fate? Isn't that the entire point of these games? Is that you can gently direct the stream of time to favor a future that you could try to... Oh, the fate is not yet written. Or, no, that is not my destiny, or whatever. I don't know. It's just some kind of like, happens all the time. Like, why so pessimistic? Why so pessimistic? Oh yeah, we can't do any. Is it like, isn't that the real black pill? The real black pill is, oh yeah, we can't do anything about fate. Yeah, motherfucker. And it's especially not going to do anything if you don't do anything about it. Yeah, of course it's not going to budge if you don't move it, right? But the entire point is that if there's a boulder in your path, you move it. If you can't move it with your hands, then bring some tools to break it open then.
The party continues to suffer catastrophic electoral consequences for...
Hutch is making me think he's chromosomally gifted. You cannot lead the retarded horse to the water. The retarded horse do not understand what the water is. It see itself in the reflection, and it think it's the ugly. It cannot even have the brain cells to conceive of itself in the water. The reflection don't even make the sense.
MAGA, there will be some, you'd have to think there would be some kind of course correction that will happen at some point. I can't tell you when that's going to be. Maybe it's super Trumpy for the next 20 years. I really don't know. Maybe people get just sick and tired of the fighting. Maybe there's this huge cultural shift that happens, and then all of a sudden someone like Spencer Cox is really appealing as a Republican. Like, we just don't know. We just can't know. So I'm not going to assume that. I agree with that, of course.
Just not in any meaningful way.
Pardoning Nixon was a mistake? I mean, I'm inclined to agree. Yeah. What did he just say?
Yes, why wouldn't they be? That's the question. Why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't they do exactly that?
There's no use for anything like that? Are we just going to assume that every Republican president moving forward is going to be another iteration of Donald Trump who's just going to trample these norms? Like, do both, Hutch? hold people accountable and like strengthen the guardrails? I mean, yeah, I agree with that. Of course.
Just not in any meaningful way.
What the fuck? What are we? When at any point in the video that he's watching right now, at any point, when did I say don't hold Republicans accountable? When did I say that? The only issue that I was having with people in chat was that they were saying that number one, Democrats should run on that in 2028. Maybe that's a good strategy. Probably not. Maybe that's a good strategy. And number two, the president should lead the way. Those were the two sticking points. Those were the two sources of contention that I was having with people in chat. But at no point was I suggesting that we should avoid, or there should be some kind of like avoidance of accountability for people who broke laws. Like if there are cabinet members that, or Trump himself, that break laws where there's some kind of an opportunity for prosecution or opens them up to being vulnerable to criminal prosecution.
Yeah, but I don't think Hutch would be interested in investigations into all the Trump administration staff, right? Like I don't think Hutch is in favor of that, right? I'm pretty sure Hutch would rather be in favor of I don't know, doing some gay shit like pardoning Trump. Isn't that what he suggested? Or not what he suggested, but the idea that he floated around, right? Was the possibility that we can just simply pardon Trump to show the other side that we're willing to be good faith again. Okay.
And if for some reason he doesn't do blanket pardons of everybody in his cabinet or himself, then
Destiny's on an Arc Raiders arc right now. Have you caught any of it? No, don't care. I bought Arc Raiders though.
And of course. Like, of course. Does he think that I opposed the Jack Smith indictments? Does he think that I was against that? From the Ashes with $2, he's saying mitigate the risk via accountability. I don't even think I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. Like, I do think you mitigate some risk. I think my whole thing during this discussion was that I was blackpilled on the idea that there will be a way for like federal law enforcement or federal law enforcement agencies to hold Donald Trump accountable, because I'm pretty sure he's going to pardon himself and his cabinet. And so in my mind,
so we should just not do it because everything is hopeless and we can never do anything good? Like, exactly who is taking the black pill here? Like, exactly who's serious question. It's not meant to be sarcastic. Who's the one taking the black pill here then? I'm so confused why he is so intent on talking about the black. Yeah, fuck me. It's like, what? Bro.
I'm just like, well, okay, well, that's off the...
Exactly who is what? Oh, we can't do anything. We can't do anything meaningful. We should just do nothing. Yeah, we should just sit around and wait for Trump to mess up then. God, it sounds so fucking stupid, bro. Okay, whatever. If Harris doesn't run for president, I'd love to see her appointed head of the DOJ because she was a prosecutor. Can you imagine how Republicans would flip out?
State level charges, sure. Pardoning Nixon was a mistake. I mean, I'm inclined to agree. Yeah.
Law, we would have to get into the nitty-gritty of it. Because as you said that Trump people have suffered no consequences.
What is he? Why is he, bro? I mean, yeah, I agree with that. Of course.
Just not in any meaningful way.
What the fuck is that?
Law, we would have to get into the nitty-gritty of it. Because as you said that Trump people have suffered no consequences. That's not true. All the January 6th insurrectionists were incarcerated. There were 1,500 people who had criminal charges. And then they were pardoned. Yeah, that has nothing to do with whether or not they suffered consequences. They still suffered consequences. If you want to put limits on the power of the pardon, then I'm all ears for a technocratic solution.
I guess my question is, if you were a Republican Congressman right now, why the fuck would you ever support guardrails against the pardoning power when, like, you could just be a George Santos? You know what I'm saying? Like, you could just be breaking the law, and then Trump gets to pardon you. Why would you ever try to limit that authority?
Where does the pardon power come from? Is it in the Constitution? Can the Congress pass laws to limit the president's pardon power?
I don't think so. I think you need a constitutional amendment, right?
I think they can, right? Or can they not? I thought it doesn't come in the Constitution.
So I need this beret, but I don't want
the president's pardon power is directly in the U.S. Constitution. Because the power is explicitly granted in the Constitution, the Congress cannot change it through ordinary legislation. Congress has a few indirect tools. They can do oversight and transparency. They can investigate circumstances surrounding a pardon. They can require reporting or record keeping. Okay, no, they're very limited. You have to amend the Constitution.
Well, I mean, if you had principles, it's because you wouldn't want to see the Republic die.
Yeah, the pardon power is that. I don't know what the founders were thinking with that. That is insane. Because they very, very much fucked up with that. Like, I really have no idea where that came from. Why did they think that was a good idea?
I would have to go back more in the time, but like my guess is just like, why would somebody abuse the pardon power, right? Like it would be so unbelievably unpopular. You would be doing it solely as the president. You would get impeached for it. I think that was the idea, right? They didn't envision political parties being a thing. So why is it that?
Maybe the founders were a bit naive about.
There are a bunch of bums. They weren't well educated, bro. Actually, no, I think they were actually probably some moderately well educated or whatever, bro. They were actually just winging it. Okay.
The future of.
They were theory crafting
of U.S. politics and the quality of politicians that we have. But there was an era of politics where things were so kind of explicitly corrupt. Like for over 100 years, it was basically legal to accept bribes. My understanding is that there were a lot of reforms that were implemented toward the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century to sort of establish more restrictions on these kinds of things, but for a long time, you could just take bribes as a politician. It wasn't even against the law.
That how could a single executive, one man, one president, just pardon people corruptly? I think at the time, maybe because I wonder if they would have envisioned political parties forming, if maybe they would have had a different thought about it. But there's a Federalist paper about the unilateral executive. Yeah, we did, but I think in that paper, I don't think it was a whole paper. I think there's one that brings it up. But it's like one paragraph, I think. I think it was a Hamilton one, and he was like, would one man really corruptly abuse the pardon power? Like sometimes there are cases so exceptional, and there's just no shot. I'm not even going to imagine that a president of the United States would ever abuse the pardon power. That's just crazy. I think that's basically what he said. That was it. Like, okay.
Oh my God.
King. He's also to be authorized to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in case of impeachment. Humanity and good policy conspire to dictate that the benign prerogative of pardoning should be as little as possible, fettered or embarrassed. Like, this would be not a thing that people do. It would be embarrassing to accept a pardon, I think, right? Like, the criminal code of every country partakes so much of necessary severity.
Embarrassing to accept a pardon. Man, what the fuck were they on?
Without an easy access to exceptions in favor of unfortunate
We're
guilt.
going to skip this section because he's giving a lesson on like the pardon power. We're going to skip to another section here. I think you're Swanibird. Thank you so much for $5. I think you're thinking of the spoils system ended up getting James Garfield assassinated, which I believe is what led to reforms. Maybe I looked it up when I was watching Death by Lightning. I looked up because it looked like New York politics was fucking super corrupt from that show. I was like, what the fuck? What was that all about? And what I read was that it was so common for politicians to just like openly accept bribes. That was a great show. I loved it. I fucking loved that. I love the cast. What show? It's called Death by Lightning, and it's the story of was it James Garfield? It was, right? It's the story of like how he became.
You know what Hutch reminds me of? Hutch reminds me of Counterpoints, who just wants politics to be Warhammer.
President, and then his assassination, and not to spoil. I mean, can you spoil history? Like the bullet wouldn't have even killed him. It was that the physician that was attending him was making that wound was like. It was like infection. It was like infection from the treatment of the wound that killed him. He just like the gunshot, the bullet could have stayed lodged in his body and he would have survived. But the physician kept on like sticking like dirty fingers in the wound and wasn't sterilizing his tools. But anyways, it's a really quick watch. It's only 3 episodes. And Michael Shannon, who is one of my favorite actors, by the way. I fucking love Michael Shannon.
Oh my, just kill me. Oh my. I just want to skip to a part. Where Destiny is like talking again about the response. Anyway, here's a show that I'm gonna talk about for the next 2 hours. Okay, nice, good one.
But the system works. Like you can't just ban MAGA. You can't just like use the criminal justice system to like throw every elect.
I feel really bad for Hutch's editor. Holy shit.
Republican in jail. It's just that's just not.
By the way, just so you know, okay, I stay on topic. Okay, just so you know, I stay on topic. All right, I'm the master at staying on topic, okay? All I do is stay on topic, all right? What can I say, okay?
Not gonna happen.
I am just simply the all-topic.
You just can't. Like you can't disqualify every elected Republican from holding office. It's like maybe you could find some legal basis to do this, invoke the insurrection clause or whatever. But does anybody literally think that this is gonna happen?
America elects a new leader, and you're another country looking at America, and you're like, oh, okay, so you're gonna 180 again, and then America says all those people that just came before are getting federally fucked as hard as possible because we're never going down that path again. There's gonna be a huge disincentive to ever go down that path again. I think you would like to see that. If you're another country that plans like, okay, well, America's trying to clean it.
They said Hutch has ADHD. Yeah, that's great. I have ADHD too. And guess what? Guess what I do? I treat it. Yeah, I treat it. Okay? Having ADHD isn't some ooh-woo quirky type shit, okay? Having ADHD means, yeah, it's an illness. It's an illness and you treat it. That's what it means. That's what it means. It isn't just some kind of ooh-woo quirky TikTok disorder. It's an issue that you treat. What the fuck? Don't be retarded.
Shit up at least. But for America to elect Democratic leadership and then just to move on like nothing ever happened, why would you ever trust that fucking country again? Why would you ever trust this country knowing that the next time something bad happens, oh, well, time for America to throw a fucking 4 to 8 year fit now.
Incumbent party. You'd have to go back to like George W. Bush in 2002 after September 11th and JFK, the Democratic Party midterms after the Cuban Missile Crisis, where they did like pretty well by historical standards. Why do you see holding a MAGA accountable as becoming some kind of crazy action? The crazy things to not do is to do. All right, guys.
True.
I need to put the text on the screen just to clarify my position once again.
Okay, but if nobody's understanding over and over and over
don't
again,
hold MAGA accountable.
That's what it feels like.
It's that we lord with $10. If that's what it feels like, then you're not hearing me correctly. I don't think I could have articulated myself in a way that could have avoided this. I think people were just hearing what they wanted to hear. They would just translate it in their brains. At least the viewers in my chat that day we're translating the stuff that I was saying to like never try to hold these people accountable. And nobody suggested, I didn't suggest this. I mean, some people definitely suggested like pardoning Trump. That was never me. I never suggested that. Alex, are we saying that they are successful because their agenda isn't popular? Sorry, what? Thank you for the $10, but what are you asking me? Are we saying they are successful because their agenda isn't popular? You mean unsuccessful? I'm saying like success or like Trump's personal success in terms of what he promised when he was running, his goals that he's had in mind. I'm sure they're reasonably in line with what he wanted to see happen. The question is, how is that landing for the country? How is the country responding to him being successful on his agenda? He did send ICE into neighborhoods to terrorize people. He did do like increased levels of deportations for people with no criminal records. He did do the terrorists. He did do the one big beautiful bill. Trump says U.S. seized oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. U.S. forces have seized an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. What? We just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela. Oil prices rose slightly in the reported seizure. Why did we seize an oil tanker? What are we doing? Trump has escalated pressure on Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro in recent weeks. The president said Maduro's days are numbered. He would not rule out a ground invasion of the South American nation. I guess we're just seizing oil tankers? Is he baiting Venezuela into a war? What are we doing? Natural phenomenon with $5. He's not talking about jailing. Just enforce the 14th Amendment. Bar those aiding and abetting a traitor from ever holding office, not banning MAGA. Well, they tried to do that. They already tried to do that in 2024. Was it Colorado? They tried to use this rationale to keep Trump off the ballot, and the Supreme Court ruled against that. So that's not going to work, right? So we're not talking about like a serious remedy here, right? Great. Okay. How's the country responding to that?
Well, they got it.
They are not responding well.
They got
at
it.
all.
They got it.
They are not happy with this administration.
Like, imagine like raping someone. It's like, well, they're not happy, and it's like, okay, well, I got my nut.
Wait, hold on. So there's a court ruling that shows, you think that supposedly shows that whatever Destiny is proposing will not work, right? That's fine. That's okay. But then you would also have to agree that there was no way they could have turned turned back Roe versus Wade. Oh, wait. Court decisions can be appealed and overturned? What?
Fucking so done with his analogies, bro.
Like that's what's happening. They got their nut off in us. Okay, we're cummed in, and he's like, well, at least they know we're upset. This is like the whole mantra of like, well, it's better to ask for forgiveness than for permission. No, that's not how it's supposed to go.
Being voted out is not a consequence. People still support this crazy shit and want to see him go harder. Being voted out is obviously a political consequence. That's a pretty significant political consequence. His base all loves him for everything except for the tariffs. True. Who cares? That's his base. Of course they love him. How do you think you're going to change
Laws
his base?
matter. Yeah, not in this world.
At all? There's nothing. So they're always going to be supporting insurrectionists.
I don't know if that should be a goal. Okay. I don't know if you can fix those people.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. Like, what are you suggesting? How do you fix like the boomer parents that binge watch Fox News, 10 hours a day, and like, do you really expect to change their minds?
Oh, they're unfixable.
The goal should just be to win more elections, right?
No, it's not whataboutism. It's this happened. Okay, you're saying that you'll never win an election doing this. Didn't Trump win 2 elections? Did you ask him 3 elections doing this? What's that?
He's just really got to work on these analogies, bro, because I just don't know how to make sense of like, oh, it's like you were raped.
Okay, that's great. Okay, just wrap your mind around it because you are triggered by the R word. Okay, that's it. Okay, that's the only explanation. All right, because it's not that hard to misunderstand or misunderstand or whatever.
Like, what is the analog in the rape situation hypothetical to like Congress and like passing laws and stuff?
Ran a senile 9-year-old person with his brain leaking out of his fucking ears who couldn't do a debate. That ran against him in 2016 when he was saying lock her up, we're coming from lock her up. Wait, what's the point that you're trying?
Natural phenomenon with $2. SCOTUS said that Congress needs to apply it. You mean with the impeachment power? Is that what you mean? Like impeaching and convicting? Is that what SCOTUS said when it came to like insurrection?
You're trying to get the point that
you're saying that if you act vindictive and evil, no one's going to love you. Trump ran vindictive.
How do you explain the modern?
This is such an incomplete analysis of the impact of Trump's rhetoric. We're isolating 2016 and 2020. I mean, 2016 was a much more decisive.
We're isolating 2016 and 2020. My brother in Christ, those were the last 2 elections.
No, but there are every year we have a series of special elections. We have midterm elections
with a lot of the same players involved.
Like when we talk about like the electoral landscape of the last 10 years, why would we restrict the conversation to just 2016 and 2024? The victory in the House. You had like what did you have? Like Vichy, what was the House majority? Like if you're going to do that, then you would be like, they've done nothing but win. They've done nothing but like be rewarded for Trump being extreme. Okay, sure. If you exclude, 2018, 2020, 2022, like in all the special elections in between, I guess. In 2017, he had like a 35 or 40 seat majority or something. He had like a 3-seat majority in the Senate. And then what happened? Years of losing.
Like when Roe and Casey were gone.
They did not do it. What is he? Okay. Well,
like when USAID is gone.
The special elections and then the midterms that got blown out. 2020.
All the research.
Became the first one-term president since George H.W. Bush lost in '92. They did pick up a few seats in the House in 2020. That wasn't ideal, but we won how many seats in the Senate and won control of the Senate?
Wow. What do we get for that again?
Greatly limited. What do we get for the 4 years of the Biden presidency? Bro, how does he not sound exactly like a Blackpill lefty at this point? It's the same rhetoric. It's the same exact rhetoric.
God, Hutch is so stupid, bro. Oh.
losses in the midterm elections. I need, you know what I need?
What do you need?
I need Laksha.
Sorry, I need to recalibrate my brain.
I need him on speed dial to talk about how Donald Trump has hurt the Republican Party electorally. 2022 is really the best example, I think, of this. It's the year that the Democrats, I think, really kicked off the Pied Piper strategy. The Democrats were putting money into Republican primaries to elevate the crazier candidates. And a lot of people criticized the Democrats for doing that at the time because they said it was too risky. But boy, did that play out well. It worked. It actually worked. Because of that strategy, and because Donald Trump kept elevating the craziest candidates over the more politically sound candidates, like the Republicans lost so many winnable races in 2022. That was Donald Trump's fault. I don't think we should, I think it's so narrow to evaluate the strength of Trump just based on 2016, him winning in 2016 and 2024.
Evaluate them on their wins,
There's
on
so
their
many other leaders that are so consequential. But how is he not? This reminds me of something. This is like,
Just talk to him. Hello? Are you antisocial? Are you isn't he married? Isn't Hutch married? He can't be this antisocial, right? Because I refuse to believe Hutch is an actual... Maybe he is a retard. Holy shit.
Reminds me of when people are like, have you guys seen when it's like a particular form of like Republican cope? When a Republican, a lot of the times when Republicans will like lose a big race, let's just say a hypothetical like Senate race or let's say a president like loses a particular state. And then the Republicans will open up the map and they'll look at like the district level voting. And then they'll say something like, oh, we would have.
Are you two still friendly? I mean, I don't know. I created so many videos on Hutch at this point that I wouldn't be surprised if Hutch burned a bridge. Like, yeah, I mean, there's only so many videos that you can create on someone that you have a bridge with before they burn it, right? I mean, that's just kind of what happens. I mean, it would be understandable if he burned it.
Won that race if you just get rid of like Chicago in Illinois. Or like, you know, Pennsylvania would have gone to Trump if we just like get rid of like Philadelphia. It's like, yeah, you know, like you would have won if you didn't lose. You know, you would have won if the electorate was totally different. Just reminds me of that. He's playing into this idea that Republicans have just done nothing but win in the era of Trump, and it's not true. It is just patently false. Why would you only discuss the...
That's not true. If you look at the overarching progress of things, if you look at from 2016 to now, where are we now? We're lower. We're no longer from the norms and civility era of politics. We have regressed as a society. We have regressed. We have gone back to the medieval ages, bro, of like witch hunting people who have had abortions. Yeah, like we're not just talking about Biden winning the election. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about specifically, we're talking about overall, like what did we gain back from 2016? Since 2016, we haven't gained anything back. We haven't gained anything back from 2016. We haven't. We just straight up have it. Oh my god, whatever.
Election cycles where they had winning cycles.
Yeah.
Why would you exclude every other election cycle from the analysis? If we're having a conversation about like, is the Republican Party stronger because of Donald Trump? Has he made them a stronger party?
Yeah.
Then you would have to look at like the totality of all the elections that took place in the last 10 years. You wouldn't just restrict it to 2016 and 2024. Why would we limit it to just his individual races that he won in 20? Oh God, I'm repeating myself again. 2024. You could very easily make a strong argument that the Republicans would have been way more successful electorally in the last 10 years of Trump if Trump wasn't the guy, if he had never entered the race to begin with. Old Sky with $5, you're discussing policy, whereas the demand is for punishment for criminal corruption. Well, I don't even think I was discussing policy. Again, I'm not opposed to punishment for criminal corruption. Mr. Feeney, is that a reference to fucking Boy Meets World? $5, people think you're against accountability because you got stuck arguing against the president should lead it, points, and everyone got confused.
And no one knows where that point even came from.
It came from my fucking chat, man! Just read, like, if he wasn't ADD playing video games, he could just read the chat. I was so clear.
Why the fuck would he read your chat? Oh my god, bro, stop doing this shit. You're so retarded. That's an unreasonable expectation for Steven to do. That's an unreasonable expectation, okay? Reading the chat. Well, yeah, no. He already gets to read his own fucking chat. I'm not here to read... Yeah, like, for example, I'm not here to read, like, Hutch's fucking chat. Nobody fucking does that except for you, I guess, because you're so fixated on what other people think of you, because people are sensitive and egotistical and narcissistic and weird. Yeah.
How about my two conditions? The first condition, if you're going to do an accountability project, some kind of series of criminal investigations and potentially prosecutions for Trump and people in his orbit, which I don't really know how you can do that at the federal level. If he does, to be clear, I think he is trying to say that Republicans don't need to win in elections as heavily since Project 2025, Big Beautiful Bill, ICE have all been passed. I don't even know what that means. They are winning the war despite losing the battles. They have political power right now. They have the power. He was elected to be the chief executive of the country, so he gets authority to just do stuff now. That's the consequence of the next 3 years in the past year. Nobody's denying that he's doing bad stuff. That is not the argument that I'm making. Hutch, the point is that they took over the Supreme Court, killed Roe, codified tax cuts. The tax cuts are codified through budget reconciliation, and they're limited. They didn't pass permanent tax cuts. Did they win everything? No, obviously, but they have not suffered serious consequences. Losing half of your elections is not a serious deterrent to the crazy shit that we've seen. First of all, losing political power is a serious consequence. First of all, that is obviously a serious consequence. And second of all, wait, why did you just time? Wait, what's going on? Why are you guys fighting in chat? What just happened? Did you time him out because you disagree on AI? Is that what just happened? Come on. No, because
Hello, is Radiant one of his mods?
he was being snarky to other chat members. Okay, hold on. Let me take a gander.
Radiant alert.
Have you guys been fighting about AI this entire time? How did I miss that in the chat?
Wow, he's so okay. So he expects Steven to read his chat, but he misses his own fucking chat. Good one. Okay, all right. Next. Good memes. Okay, good memes. All right, spectacular stuff right here.
But I have no idea what that has to do with anything I've said.
My question though is if Saxium's
Hassan's acting up again, guys. There's a clip that just hit the feed. Is this from his stream today?
Calvicide asked me step-by-step instructions to update a PC motherboard BIOS, please. Sufferkos, step-by-step guide to...
Like Benny Johnson, for example, Jack Posobiec, Tim Pool. I have a lot of contempt for those people because I believe they're knowingly lying. They're knowingly preying on people's ignorance and insecurities and fears and anxieties. They prey on that. So I have a lot of contempt for that. And it's really difficult for me to have sympathy for people like that. When it comes to MAGA voters, I put most of the blame for MAGA voters making what I think are bad decisions. I put most of that blame on the bad faith actors that...
This Hutch seems to be spending 10 hours reviewing content to prove he's not an orbiter over and over again. Yeah, what does he have to prove?
Have existed in right-wing media for decades now. And just to be frank with you guys, like I know Trump supporters beyond just my family. Like I know Trump's people that support Trump. And when I talk to them, it's just so obvious that they're buying into a narrative that is pushed on their social media feeds and in their news media feeds. It's so obvious that they just like, at some point along the way, they got attached to that somehow, or something about the messaging drew them in. And so they're, and you'll just never, this is why I don't really have like, I don't love having like IRL conversations about debate, politics with people. I avoid those conversations for the most part. Sometimes it'll come up and I'll enjoy the conversation. It can be fun and stimulating or whatever. But for the most part, I don't, like 9 out of 10 times, if somebody brings up like a MAGA talking point when I'm out in the world, I just ignore it. Like I just don't, because it's just a waste of time.
Well, the problem is that you're white. So you have the privilege of ignoring, but others do not have the same privilege as you.
What do you think? Do you think something?
Because as a white person, you are unaffected for the most part, right?
Should be done about Fox? I don't, whatever, like,
yeah, I just simply ignore it. Okay. How about when you're brown and they're talking about rounding up brown people? Okay. All right.
I mean, it just...
this is the definition. God, he's such a privileged person. Oh my God. He's so privileged. Like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock, that you can afford to ignore shit.
Depends on what the thing is. Like, if we're talking about, like, should we find a way to get rid of Fox News? Well, at that point, we've kind of abandoned the American system of democracy. And if you're saying that the American system of democracy is just not working,
Cringe Maoist LARPer. Have you considered the economic anxiety of those poor Trump voters? True. Can somebody please tag Wintermute and Fire in this one? Nicole, suburban mom and successful corporate lawyer. Every Republican alive is an affront to God. True.
And it's not sustainable, and you think that Trump is evidence of this, like Trump and MAGA are the evidence that the system is too lacking. We actually need more guardrails. Then you can make that argument, but what you'd be arguing for is a new kind of system, a more restrictive, a less liberal system.
Bro. All the fucking suburban moms be like, look at what the leftists need to even have a fraction of our power. Look what they need to do to even mimic a fraction of our power. I lost a bit of respect for Hutch for banning me because I pushed him on the Destiny stuff. I was not disrespectful, didn't insult anyone. I just gave my opinion, got banned. Like in this stream? Or...
I mean, of course, people are accountable for the things that they do, right? So, like, if you make a mistake, if you do something bad, If I decide tomorrow to step out on Esme and go find me a Sancha, you know, me being a product of my environment and genetics and my experience in the world doesn't mean that she doesn't have a right to be upset if I step out on her. Do you know what I mean? Hutch, is that unreasonable in your mind? Is what unreasonable? I'm not sure what you mean. But yeah, I totally see what you're saying here. The disconnect from D and the audience members arguing with you, we do think the MAGA heads are evil and we want them punished. Believe me, I have made that observation. I have made that observation. I have noticed that a lot of, I think, what drives Destiny's analysis and DGG when they're in my chat, their analysis is a searing hatred of MAGA. And I understand the emotion behind that. Like, I understand why people are angry. It's because horrible things are happening. And so that is understandable, and I'll just leave it at that for now.
Destiny, you both acknowledge that this would be politically unviable. Like, there would be no political...
There's... What? Should people not be angry at? What?
will for this would be very unpopular.
Okay.
It just wouldn't be an electoral winner. Why would you think that advocating for this publicly would make it more likely that you are going to win in the future if you've already acknowledged that this is politically...
Did Destiny explode yet? Not yet.
I don't ever explode.
I don't know when that happens, but...
I never explode. A cancerous of a position. Why the hell would you ever take this position publicly? Because you got to fight for this. Wait, has it been 3.5...
It's one of over $20. Random fun history fact. Today marks the day Teddy Roosevelt became the first president to win a Nobel Peace Prize. He was later awarded a Medal of Honor. He remains the only president to ever win a Nobel Peace Prize for peace and a Medal of Honor for war. I did not know that.
Half hours? He's got an hour?
Thank you so much for the $20.
The way through this, King. Do you believe in a move up in that direction? Oh, true. We did have the keys in 2024. We had the keys. Not the keys.
The keys, bro.
The keys.
That night, the election night, what's the guy's name again? The Keys? I already forgot his name. Who's the Keys guy again? There's a really funny YouTube edit that was a compilation of how the night evolved. Lichtman. Alan Lichtman, right? Alan Lichtman. There's a really funny YouTube where it shows like the progression of election night in 2024, and you could just see kind of the wheels spinning in Alan Lichtman's mind, where he was just like, he was literally like, this isn't possible. There's no way this is possible. The Keys, like the Keys. Technically, I've never been wrong, you know? You could tell he was having a tough night. All elite memes with $5. I've lost friends and questioned the character of family members due to their support of MAGA policies. They may not be evil, but definitely hateful. I'm not gonna tell anybody how to live their life. I'm not gonna tell anyone that they should or should not draw boundaries with friends, family members, whomever. That is completely up to you guys to make those decisions for yourself. I don't think there's hard and fast rules. If somebody wants to do that, it's valid. If somebody doesn't want to do that, it's
Did Gavin Newsom posted them in handcuffs?
valid.
Yes.
But you're about to? No, I'm not. I'm really not. I'm not going to tell you guys that the way that I live my life is the way that you should live your life. In this way, I'm not going to tell you that. It was just for me, in my experience, we lost my sister, and it just changed my thinking about a lot of stuff. It just changed my thinking about a lot of stuff, and that's where that came from.
What like has your brain cells died along with your sister, or like? Okay, that may be going too far. Listen, it was catchy. Okay, Jesus.
When we lost my sister, I started to think about things differently. And I started to think about like the kind of conflict I was having with family members differently. And it motivated me to make an effort to kind of move past some of that conflict. Just set it to the side, compartmentalize, just do whatever, because it just changed my entire perspective. And if you guys are not going to have the kind of perspective that I have, and I don't think that my way is the right way. I don't think that anybody else's way is the wrong way or the right way either. That's all that was. But I can just relay my experience that for me, life has been better when I'm not consumed with anger for people like in my family or my personal life.
Wait, hold on. You're not consumed by anger for MAGA? You mean like the neo-Nazis and the KKK? You don't hate them? The people who are holding a gun to our head?
For me, I decided it was like a choice that I was making to spend a lot of time like being angry at Trump voters just for or whatever. And it's not like I'm not like, to be clear, I'm still plenty mad at Trump voters a good deal of the time. It's not like it all just went away. I just spend less time in that anger. I just don't linger in that anger if I don't have to.
Wait, hold on. But to be very clear, you have the privilege of that, right? You have the privilege of that, right? To be very clear. I hate, oh God. I hate how he's telling people to, oh yeah, you can just simply ignore. What? Huh? Do we live in the same world? What? What are you on about? What are you actually on about? But
like if I catch myself, I'm like, man, I've been really stewing about this for like 2 hours. I'll have days where I'm walking around and I'm just fucking pissed about Donald Trump and some fucking Twitter post that I saw, and I'll be in my head just like really just fucking.
So see, now this is the funniest part about this, is that he's telling everybody else to calm down, but he seems to have a lot of trouble calming down himself. I wonder if some of this, or all of it, is projection. Because guess what? I don't get very mad at MAGA, in a way. Like not to maud about the way that he mauds about it, right? Like, I still get mad at them. I'm still like I still advocate for mercilessness, right? Like, being like tit for tat and all that. Like, I believe in that, right? But notice how I'm trying to put my finger, trying to say the right thing here. I think I get less angry at MAGA than Hutch gets angry at people telling him that he isn't angry enough at MAGA. Does that make sense? Okay, that makes no sense. Ignore me, okay?
Angry. I still have days like that. I still have moments like that, but I catch myself and I'm doing it now, and I'm like, okay, is this the best use of my energy right now? And when I ask myself that question, the answer is always no. Like, I could be doing something that
I can't be more like mentally well-adjusted than Hutch, bro. Basically, what I'm saying is that I'm more mentally well-adjusted than Hutch. I'm more mentally well-adjusted than Counterpoints. I'm more mentally well-adjusted than, I would say, like, probably 90% of the creators in the space. Yes, I'm not talking about the audience or the viewers, okay? I'm talking about the creators. Yes, that's how high I am, okay? Not on drugs, okay? But how do you let a 26-year-old mog you in, like, temperance? Especially when you're like an older person. How do you even let that happen? It's very embarrassing.
I enjoy. I could be learning a new thing. I could be playing a game. I could be walking. I could be whatever.
But you know, I have to be one of the best, right? Because I understand now, I'm the only one that can defend Steven like this. Taking as much flack as I do, while still trying to make the correct takes, not crashing out. Yeah, I kind of understand. I am the main character. I get it. I understand.
Badaboss with $5. Jenk jingling keys in front of Lickman was honestly kind of funny. Not gonna lie, Jenk can be very funny.
Otherwise, there would have already been a content creator out there who had defended Steven and become successful at it. But to this day, I'm still the only one.
That was on Peers, right? I remember that.
Yeah, when you did with Prop 50. What king? Hell fucking yeah. See,
Prop 50 was Texas.
That's just the truth.
Go ahead.
That's just the truth.
Yes, it was. Yeah, exactly. It was.
I don't have anger for maggots, I know, but I don't associate with them. I mean, to be clear, most of my friends are overwhelmingly, like, to the left of me. Most of my LA friends are to the left of me. They're to my left. The people that I know that are MAGA, that are kind of Trump supporters or whatever, these are like, some of them are old friends, but most of my old friends are anti-Trump, like overwhelmingly. Overwhelmingly. Most of my old friends are anti-Trump. But there's like I have a few friends that are like, not super pro-Trump, but definitely like lean towards MAGA. And then I have family members that are very pro-Trump, extremely pro-Trump. But I don't go out of my way to, and I know people.
You think you're better at defending Tiny than Tiny is? Yes.
People in NA, Narcotics Anonymous.
I just don't have his audience. That's it. I mean, obviously he is able to spread like more pro himself rhetoric, I guess. Yeah, I'll say so.
That are on the spectrum of like Trump supporters. You know, there's like tepid.
Otherwise there would be no reason. Like, it is inherently like self-contradictory, right?
Support, more enthusiastic support. And with those people, I just mostly don't talk politics with them. And that's it.
Response to Republican overreach, right? And so when Republicans point to things saying, Democrats, public Democratic influencers want to bar all of their opposing, all Republicans from office, right? They're going to use that to justify people doing some pretty crazy shit on their side. And
like gerrymandering in Texas? What they use to justify that?
Like the president of the United States coming up saying some country executed. Do you think it can't get worse? Yeah, but
That's a great question.
always get worse. That's the reason why you take dramatic corrective. That's a great question.
It is.
It's a great question. You're talking about being held hostage by half the country.
No, I'm not.
Sure, guys. What are we gonna do? Well, hold on. We can always get worse. That's your position that you're.
That informs you, I think, in a really valuable way. If you really think that things are maximally bad, which again, this was the Blackpill lefty position. I have had so many interactions with Blackpill lefties over the years where they were saying, I brought this up before, but like Cinemarxism, for example, he was arguing that Bernie and AOC should split off from the Democratic Party and form their own political party and just let the Democratic Party die. And when I tried to get him to understand, like, you understand that this would virtually ensure that the Republicans would have big enough majorities to do constitutional amendments beyond just legislation if you fracture the Democratic Party coalition in that way. And he said, it doesn't matter because things are already maximally bad. And Second Thought has sort of like said similar things.
Like, what are we doing? Like, why are we comparing Second Thought with Destiny? Like, what are we doing here?
Hassan has said similar. Like, this was stuff that came from the left, and they used it as a justification to not engage in electoral politics meaningfully. That was their rationale. It was like, well, things are already like horrible. So, you know, like, oh, Trump got elected, like, whoop-de-doo. You know, we still don't have Medicare for all, like that kind of stuff. That is an important thing to evaluate. Like, okay, how bad are things right now, and how could they get worse? And like, I don't understand. I really don't understand what the disagreement is here, because correct me if I'm wrong, but a short time ago in this video, he said that he agreed that the president shouldn't spearhead the thing. And I think that's what this is all about. Like, if it's this like aggressive push from the top of Democratic leadership to run on like Nuremberg 2.0, can we think of a way that could maybe backfire? Like, I can.
Bro, dude, there's 100 reasons why everything would backfire, right? There's 100 reasons. God, why is he so stupid? This is like basic politics 101, right? The fact that you can push policies in public. This is like basic politics, man.
It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be rational. And there could be double standards. All of that could be true, but it's no less valuable to the analysis.
It is literally basic
like,
politics.
Could this thing that we do actually make things worse? Like, we should ask that question.
Held hostage by your entire opposing party in a two-party system?
Actually, right now, if we're not able to impeach Donald Trump based off of what he's saying right now, what makes you think? Like, okay, so you made the point that you're arguing to move people more in your direction. Okay, what I'm saying is, not only are you wasting your political capital now, and you're probably making discourse worse now, but the jumping over the bar would be trying to impeach Donald Trump now, and we're nowhere fucking near that.
You know what I think gets lost in these discussions, and it's come up in the past.
Uh-oh. Oh no, what?
The framing gets to be that. So like when we just asked a moment ago, do you not think that it can get worse? I think that the framing is a big problem in these conversations.
Reframe us, Hutch.
What? Oh, wait, hold on. The framing? The framing? You mean calling... You mean just calling the other side, oh, blackpilled? Really, framing? We can talk about framing as an issue. I'm okay with that.
We talk about like political considerations. Is this politically viable? We have hypothetical discussions about you can make a martyr out of Trump. And Destiny seems to always come back with, well, you know, like look at where Trump is already. He's like, you know, calling for people to be executed. And like, hold on, let me figure out how to say what I want to say.
Yeah, careful.
American politics are, when we're talking about a national race, like, or in particular like national races, they are a fight for the political center. So when people say, well, Trump's base already love him and he, you know, he's doing all this crazy shit, and they still love him for that. And they'll use that line as a way to dismiss the idea that there's like Trump is paying politically, and the Republican Party are paying politically for hitching their wagon to Trump. The reason why they're paying for it is because American politics are a fight for the center. It doesn't really matter in terms of the discussion. It doesn't really have a lot of relevance that Trump's base love him for the stuff that he's doing. You say, well, Donald Trump's losing. Like, look what he's doing. He's sending ICE in the neighborhoods, and he's breaking the law, and he's doing terrorism, and he's doing all this crazy shit, and he's so corrupt, and his base still loves him for it. Great. Who cares? I don't understand why that matters. The Republican base is not, or Trump's base more specifically, are not numerous enough to survive the political consequences of what Trump is doing. The more kind of malleable center.
What did it take to get to this point? What did Trump have to do to lose his popular support? Well, all he really had to do was lawlessly declare that we were being invaded.
This is just like frustration with the electorate that he's expressing here. Like, he's expressing frustration with the electorate, which is like, okay, that's valid, right? But that goes back to what I was saying before. If we had a country where the vast majority of people were meaningfully engaging in politics and they were meaningfully informed, then the landscape would be different. But we don't live in that country. And so voters are irrational, and they sometimes have they sometimes take actions that are totally incoherent. They don't make any sense. Like, an AOC/Trump voter doesn't make any sense. There's no rationale to it. And like, yeah, you can be frustrated about that, and I get frustrated about that too, but it's just like, that's really what he's doing here. Is he's just expressing frustration that the electorate is, first of all, they're not very informed, and second of all, they're not very engaged. And therefore, they don't always make good decisions. In fact, they often make bad decisions. That's just the reality of American politics. It's obviously frustrating. Why is your president threatening the president of Colombia now? Oh dear, what's going on?
Countries sending drugs to the U.S., Mexico, Venezuela, and Colombia. And you talk to the president of Mexico, you already talked to Nicolas Maduro. Have you?
God, can't he just like actually just... Can't you just like focus for once?
consider talking to the president of Colombia, who you call a drug dealer?
No, I haven't really thought too much about him. He's been fairly hostile to the United States, and I haven't given him a lot of thought. He is,
Man, he is sounding so slurry.
he's going to have himself.
Embrace for Trump 3.0. There's no strong case to make for Trump 3.0. I don't think there's a very compelling argument that that's a likely outcome. That he's going to try to jockey and try to actually stay in power. That is not likely. Those people are moving massively.
Yeah, dude. Oh my god, guys. Nah, I can't do this. I can't do this. Nah. Okay. No, I don't. I just don't. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm not even gonna say the link, bro. I can't do it. No. Nope. I'm getting too triggered. 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 The fact that I won again, that's a good point. Because guess what? I feel as though like Hutch would say something like, "Oh yeah, the Trump winning a second term, pretty unlikely. Pretty unlikely. Trump winning a second term, pretty unlikely. Pretty unlikely. Second term, pretty unlikely. Oh, he won. I'm good. Okay. I'm good. All right. I'm good.